Imagine handing your landlord $300,000 in cash. He gives you the keys. For 2 years, you pay no monthly rent. When you leave, he is supposed to return every cent. For generations, Koreans rented this way. It is called jaunts. Then the promise broke open. The darker question was not only Korean. How much of any housing market survives because we believe the money will come back? The contract works like this. You want an apartment in Seoul. Instead of paying monthly rent, you hand over a huge deposit, often worth more than half the property's value. You live there. You pay no monthly rent. At the end, the landlord is supposed to return the deposit in full. From the tenant's side, it looks like housing without rent. From the landlord's side, it looks different. The deposit is capital. The landlord can hold it, invest it, repay debt with it, or use it to buy another property. Both sides can look at the same money and call it theirs. The tenant says, "I still have the money. It is parked somewhere else." The landlord says, "I can use the money. I only have to return it later." That word, later, is where the whole system lives. Jaunts depends on a future moment when the landlord can give back what the tenant believes never really left. But money does not stop costing you because it did not leave your bank account 1 month at a time. Every month, that deposit could have been earning returns somewhere else. It was not. That invisible loss was the rent. You were not renting for free. You were renting with money you could not see. So why did this become so powerful in Korea? The short answer is not culture. It is pressure. South Korea is a country where geography narrows the choices. Mountains make much of the land hard to build on at scale. The division of the peninsula sealed the northern edge behind a military border. Industrialization pulled millions of people toward the capital region. Seoul, Incheon, and Gyeonggi became the center of gravity. Housing pressure moved in one direction, inward. At the same time, many households did not have easy access to long-term mortgage credit in the way Americans or Western Europeans might imagine it. Landlords had property. Tenants needed homes. Banks were not always the bridge, so the deposit became the bridge. Jaunts was not merely a rental custom. It was private credit hidden inside a housing contract. The tenant could get a home without buying one. The landlord could get capital without going to a bank. And in a high-interest economy, that capital had power. This system was not invented by one person. It crystallized out of geography, war, urbanization, credit scarcity, and the price of money. The arrangement could feel stable because it solved 2 problems at once. Tenants needed access to housing. Landlords needed access to cash. The contract made both sides believe the same lump sum was still safe. But every system built around high returns has one enemy: low returns. After the global financial crisis, interest rates fell across much of the world. South Korea followed that long descent. The contract still said the same thing: return the deposit in full. But the world around the contract had changed. The landlord still owed the money. The easy return on holding that money had disappeared. Some landlords adapted honestly. They shifted to monthly rent, lowered risk, or found other financing. Others did something more dangerous. They used the next tenant's deposit to repay the previous tenant. The promise did not disappear all at once. It moved forward, from one tenant to the next. As long as new deposits kept arriving, old refunds could still be made. That is not jaunts as a tradition. That is a fraud pattern inside a jaunts contract. New money enters, old promises are paid. The structure survives only as long as new deposits keep arriving. In 2022 and 2023, Korean press and officials began speaking of jeonse sagi, jeonse fraud. One of the most infamous cases centered on Michuhol in Incheon, just west of Seoul. Korean media described a landlord nicknamed the Building King, accused in connection with a large portfolio of homes and deposits many tenants could not recover. This is the point where the story has to stay specific. Jeonse itself was not the fraud. The fraud was a pattern that used the trust built into jeonse. The details have to be handled carefully. Behind the case numbers were mostly young tenants, people in their 20s and 30s, people who had not merely lost a month's rent. Some had emptied years of savings into a single deposit. Some discovered that what they held was not a safe claim on the future, but a place in a legal queue. What came back was not always the deposit. Sometimes it was a notice, sometimes a court process, sometimes a silence where the money should have been. The structural point is clear. The system did not fail in one dramatic explosion. It deflated, slowly. Yesterday's math had become today's risk. So did Koreans ever really live rent-free? No. They changed the shape of rent. They turned a monthly payment into a one-time advance. They turned cash flow into capital occupation. They turned, I am spending money into, I am temporarily storing money somewhere else. That difference is psychologically powerful. And it is not uniquely Korean. Most of us have made some version of it. We tell ourselves the money is still there, just in a different account. We tell ourselves a promise is almost the same thing as cash. We tell ourselves that a cost we cannot see yet is not really a cost, but a deposit is not a receipt. It is a claim on someone else's future solvency. That is the part every trust-based system tries to hide. The money can look present on paper while depending entirely on a future repayment chain, and every claim depends on the world still making sense when the future arrives. That was the hidden structure of John's. For a long time, the grammar held. Then the rate environment changed. The old grammar remained. People kept trusting the old sentence, the money will come back. And usually, it did. Until, quietly, in an apartment hallway, in a bank account, in a court file, it did not.